Welcome to In the Middle, a podcast on Christianity in the Middle East, where we explore questions of history, religion, culture, and policy that affects the ancient and indigenous Christian communities of the Middle East. On January 31st, 2024, at the 4th Annual International Religious Freedom Summit in Washington, D.C., I had the opportunity to sit down with Mr. Anu Abdoka, Minister of Transportation and Communication in the Kurdistan Regional Government in northern Iraq. As the only Christian member of the KRG cabinet, Mr. Abdoka provides a very unique and enlightening perspective on the situation of Christians in Iraq a decade following the ISIS genocide. How has the situation of Christians in northern Iraq changed over the past decade, and what is their current situation? So without further ado, thanks for joining the conversation, and welcome to In the Middle. Anu, welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here with you today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. You're here, of course, at the International Religious Freedom Summit, here representing, of course, the Kurdistan Regional Government in Iraq, and we're blessed to have you. What our viewers would be interested to know is you are a Christian working as a minister in the KRG government. So we really look forward to today's conversation. But first, before we get started, I'd love to hear about you, Anu. Tell us a bit about yourself, what you're doing, and what your background is.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Shalom alochen. How yomochem bricha.
Basima Taudi.
Yomo bricho.
Taudi Sagi.
Of course, I am from Kurdistan, Kurdistan region of Iraq, Mesopotamia or Beth Nahrain. Originally, I am from one of the largest Chaldean cities in Kurdistan region and Iraq, Ankawa. I was born and raised in Ankawa, in Erbil, now the capital city of Kurdistan region. My mother's family, they are from Al-Qosh. Their house is near to the shrine of Prophet Nahum, 3,000 years old shrine near to the monastery of Saint Hermes. It's like 1,400 years old monastery. And also, of course, from my father's side, we are originally from Ankawa. My grandfather's house is near to the church of St. George's that was renovated in the 6th century of Christianity.
That's amazing. And for the sake of our viewers, Al-Khosh is one of the major villages, one of the major towns in the Ninwa Plain.
Yes.
As you mentioned, it's surrounded by a plethora of very many historical sites, monasteries, biblical sites, not just historical, indeed. Yeah. And that is characteristic of the Ninwa Plain in general. Yes. In northern Iraq, northern Syria, southeast Turkey, Beth Nahrain, as you said, Mesopotamia, is steeped with our history, the history of the Mesopotamian people, the Syriacs, Assyrians, Chaldeans. And that's why it's so important to have a guy like you here to talk to us about the region, what's happening, what happened historically, and where our people stand today. So, if you could tell us a bit about your current work, we know, of course, what your official title is, as we shared with our audience. But if you tell us a bit about what you're doing in government, what some of the plans are, and how it's looking for our people.
Yes, of course, we before the elections, last election in 2018, we formed the largest Chaldean and Syriac and Assyrian coalition that as a result of the election we got 3 out of 5 seats of the Chaldean, Assyrian and Syriacs, and also we had the vote and the support of the Armenian representative of the parliament. So I was elected as the representative of Christians in the new cabinet led by His Excellency Prime Minister Masroor Barzani, as the 9th cabinet of Kurdistan region government. As a Minister of Transportation and Communication, I do my duty to serve the people of Kurdistan region in general in the fields of transportation and communication. As a representative of Christians, all the Christians without any differentiation, or like on the churches or the denominations or the naming issue, because we consider all of us one nation.
Absolutely.
And one people. Either we are Chaldeans or Assyrians or Syriacs or Armenian.
Mm-hmm.
So I try my best to be a representative for my people. And in this cabinet, we have the full support of the Prime Minister and the Office of the Prime Minister.
That's excellent. And I just spoke a moment ago with a colleague of yours, Mr. Khaldo Ramzi, who is the Director General of the Directorate of Syriac Heritage, Culture and Arts, also in the KRG. And hearing from him, it was quite encouraging to learn of the initiatives undertaken by the KRG, and just the fact alone that there is a directorate of the name that it is, the Syriac Culture and Arts Directorate, is quite promising, and meeting a person like you who has frankly been given a very high position, a ministerial position in the KRG, is very encouraging to me. What I would like to discuss a little bit with you, if you could share a bit with our audience, is sort of, I think we know the ancient history of our people, the Christians in Iraq, but if you could speak specifically the history of our people over the last, say, decade, what they've been through, the hardships they've suffered, how they've been able to rebound and recover to the extent that they have anyhow, and what their situation today is in 2024.
As you know, after 2003, our people suffered a lot. Before 2003, we had like approximately 2 million Christians living in Iraq. In 2004, and starting of the vacuum of power, the vacuum of security, in Iraq, 111 of our churches were attacked. In Mosul, in Baghdad, in Basra, in the middle and the south of the country. More than 1,300 Christians were killed. Our bishops were killed. Bishop Marpolis Faraj Raho, the Chaldean bishop of Mosul, was kidnapped and killed by Al-Qaeda. Mm-hmm. Our priests were killed. Father Raghid Kanni and his 4 deacon friends, where they were executed in public in Mosul. Many of our clergymen were kidnapped, tortured. Our girls were harassed in universities, in high schools. So people fled. Thousands of our properties were taken by some gangs in Baghdad and in other places. So in 2004, President Masoud Barzani, president of Kurdistan region, declared that Kurdistan region has opened its doors always to Christians, to Yazidis, to Kakais, and to all the minorities or components of Iraq. So there was a wave of our people coming from all sides of Iraq to Kurdistan region. Others fled to the United States, to Canada, to Europe, and to Australia, to other countries. And of course, a significant number also remained in Nineveh Plain. So in Kurdistan, people started their businesses. Some of them, they became employees in the government institutions, and they settled in Kurdistan region. Let me give you an example. In Kawa, in 2003, it was only 30,000, 28,000, 30,000 people. Now, it's 86,000 people. We had only 3 churches. Now we have 16 churches. Wow. And monasteries, many other monasteries. So, in Kurdistan region, there's not only a chance for Christianity to exist, but Christianity in Kurdistan region is flourishing. Right. What happened in Nineveh Plain was the satanic, the evil war waged by ISIS against the Yazidis, against the Christians, against all the components of Iraq and also of Kurdistan region. So our people, they fled another time from our historic territories in Nineveh Plain. You know, we are the descendants of Babylon, Assyria, Sumer, and Akkad. Those are our territories for 7,000 years and until now. We speak the same language that Jesus Christ spoke, and we preserve it. So those people came to Kurdistan region. In Kurdistan region, by the direct support of His Excellency the Prime Minister, now we have the General Directorate of the Syriac language.
Yeah.
So we have up to approximately 60 public schools of Syriac language. Our children, they can read, write, and learn by Syriac language. You met my colleague Caldo.
Yeah.
We have a general directorate for the culture and Syriac art.
Mm-hmm.
We have a museum for the Syriac heritage. We have a library of Syriac culture, and also we have a group for the national and heritage dances and clothes, customs. And so we are working. And of course, we have a very famous and historic decision by His Excellency the Prime Minister Barzani, by granting Ankawa as the largest Christian city a semi-autonomous administrative status.
That's amazing. And I think you put it very well when you said that Christianity in Kurdistan region of Iraq, Ankawa, is not only surviving but is flourishing. And I think that's objectively observable. I mean, even we in the West, when we look, we don't have to dig very deep to find out that this is the fact. I must ask, however, and in full disclosure and candor, as the Syriac people, that includes Assyrians and Chaldeans, as the Syriac Christians of Iraq and of the region, Syria, Turkey as well, we are not without, let's call historical memory.
Yes.
This historical memory is formed in large part, among other things, but in large part by the Sayfo, the events of the Sayfo genocide in 1915. For those watching, Sayfo is the Ottoman perpetrated genocide against Christians. That's Armenians, Syriacs, Assyrians, Chaldeans, Greeks, in the fall of the Ottoman Empire. Part of that, of course, was the participation of Kurdish tribes in the Ottoman Empire. Now, as we see today in the KRG and even in northeast Syria, the Syrian Democratic Council is majority Kurdish, although the leadership is diverse. But the psychological hurdle that is formed within the minds of our people as a result of historical memory, oftentimes it's good in some way in that it provides a lesson, it provides caution, it provides context through which to navigate life and decisions. But in many cases, it can also be a hurdle that inhibits progress. And again, observing all that we see happening that's positive within the KRG is encouraging. But how is it that our people can overcome that psychological hurdle in the name of progress?
Of course, any nation, any people without history, without remembering their history, they cannot secure their future. Our people suffered a lot in the time of Sayfo, 1915, in the time of Surya, 1969, in the time of Simmele, 1933, and in the time until you reach the Sayyidat al-Najat and ISIS massacre and genocide against our people. Of course, in the time of the Ottomans, when the Sayfo happened, there were, of course, some tribes of Arab tribes and also Kurdish tribes participated as they were agents of that state that was in control. We don't blame Turkey today for what the Ottoman did. We cannot blame KRG for what some tribes did 100 years ago in Turkey or in that time the Ottomans.
Yeah.
We don't blame the Germans for what Hitler did. We don't blame the Americans for what their ancestors did to the Indians, the original people of the United States. We don't blame the Australians for what their ancestors did to the Australians, the original Australians, the tribes over there. So what happened was that some of the people of the tribes were expelled. Like if we have in the Kurdish tribes, like someone like Simko Shkak, who killed the Assyrian, his patriarch Mar Binyamin Shim'un, Sahada Qaddisha Mar Binyamin Shim'un, Slothi Amman. Also, we have in the Kurds Sheikh Ahmad Barzani, the Khudan. We have Sheikh Abdul Salam Barzani. Those people who protected Christians, protected Yazidis, Jews. In Barzan territory, in Barzan village, there was a mosque, a church, and a synagogue beside each other for hundreds of years. At that time, 100 years ago, before the formation of the League of Nations or the United Nations or the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in Barzan, according to the teachings of Sheikh Abdul Salam and Sheikh Ahmad Barzani, the Khudan, Christians, Yazidis, and Muslims and Jews were equal. The rights were given to women. It was forbidden to cut green trees and kill wild animals. And the ownership of lands was the ownership of all the people. So these teachings were there in Kurdistan. So you cannot generalize. Because of that, our people, Chaldeans, Assyrians, Syriacs, and Armenians participated and supported Mullah Mustafa Barzani 80 years, approximately 80 years from now, in all of the and his brothers in all of the revolutions of Barzan, the first revolution, the second revolution, and in 1961 the Aylul revolution. Leaders of the revolution were Christians, like Hormuz Malik Chakko, like Francois Hariri, and others. So our people participated in the revolution, in the uprising in 1991, and we have a significant number of matrids who fought with the Peshmerga. They were Peshmerga, fought with the Peshmerga for the freedom of Kurdistan. So what we have today in Kurdistan, it's not given to us. It's our right. We earn it by our blood, by fighting beside our Kurdish, Arabs, and other components of Kurdistan, Turkmens and others.
Amen. Thank you for that. That was a very good explanation. I like the analogy that you drew for the viewers, where we don't necessarily hold Germany of today accountable for the sins of Hitler or any other atrocities. We don't hold any atrocities today for the governments that are in control of those happen to be same territories. So I think that's a very good analogy. And I think you can tell a tree by its fruits. Right? If the KRG was giving poisonous fruits, then I think we'd have a case to make. But I see the fruits coming from the KRG to be beneficial and productive for our people. Please.
And telling a tree by its fruits, let me tell you something that happened to me personally.
Please.
In Baghdad, the government, the president of Iraq, signed a law legalized by the Iraqi parliament to prohibit production, exporting, importing, and selling alcohol. So that's against the freedom of Christians, of Yazidis, of non-Muslims, even against the freedom of many Muslims who drink alcohol.
Right.
So I was very upset. I took this law legalized by Iraq to the Council of Ministers in Kurdistan, and I wanted to say that that cannot be legalized also in Kurdistan. So when I spoke about it in the Council of Ministers, the Prime Minister Barzani, he told me, stop. This is against the rights of Christians and other minorities or components. They don't say minorities, components. This will not fly in Kurdistan.
So you didn't have to make the case. He made the case.
Yeah, he made the case.
Yeah. Well, that's very good. It's very interesting too. So as you know, former Vice President Mike Pence is here at the IRF summit.
Yes.
He spoke just earlier this afternoon, and as you also may know, he made a priority of the Trump-Pence administration, the last administration, to make religious minorities, or components as you call them, a priority for U.S. foreign policy. And part of that was, of course, Christians in Iraq. One question I have for you is, over the last 10 years, how have you seen the work of USAID happening in the Kurdistan region, and how have you seen it impacting, for better or worse, or lacking full benefit for our community in northern Iraq?
They are doing their best, but what we need as Christians in Kurdistan region and in Nineveh Plain is first of all housing projects for young couples, in order to our people to have a chance to live and to get a house, and also supporting small projects for small businesses for our young generation. I think they must focus on that. In Kawa now, His Excellency the Prime Minister approved a housing project for 1,000 apartments for young couples, Christian young couples in Inkawa, all of them Christians. And also we are working about something similar also in Duhok territory. What we need for our American friends to help us with is to normalize the situation in Nineveh Plain and in Sinjar by pressuring the Iraqi government, all the parties in Iraq, to implement the Treaty of Sinjar. By implementing the Treaty of Sinjar, by getting rid of the militias over there, we can restore the rule of the law, and our Christians can feel safe and return to their historic lands.
Thank you for that. And we'll continue to pray. We'll continue to work here in the United States. That's the mission of IDC, In Defense of Christians. We were founded in 2014 directly in response to the ISIS caliphate taking over in northern Iraq and northeast Syria. And since then, we've been working on that issue and many others in the region. And we'll continue to pray. We'll continue to work diligently here in the United States. And we look forward to working with you more. Thank you for sitting down with me today. Taudi Sagi Basima Raba.
Basima Raba Taluch. And I hope to see you very soon in Kurdistan and in Inkawa.
Thank you. I hope so as well. Thank you.
In Beth Nahrin.
Beth Nahrin, of course. Thank you.
Taudi.